Oh hey, didn't see you there. Love is the warm feeling that you give and you get that make life all the more livelier. Or, I assume so. Me personally, I never really got it. But you know what really accentuates your love to someone? Forcing them to choose between inconvenience and decision fatigue.
Watching anime as of recent years has substantially gotten easier and harder simultaneously over the evolution of media distribution. While access itself is simpler now more than ever, the amount and sometimes availability is more limiting, in that deciding what to watch and how has in itself become a core part of the whole process. Depending on whatever form of media you choose to watch through, there's always going to be the pros and cons to it, whether it's a systematic thing with legal issues or a personal thing when it comes to the ease and convenience.
Because of this, I've identified four ways of watching anime through their various means, media, and justifications. Of course, there are more, but I found that these four in particular are the most basic, sit down, run of the mill way that you can just watch anime and just consume as much trash as you can.
The first method is simply through physical media: DVDs, Blu-rays, and even the mysterious legends of old, VHS.
We archaeologists are gonna have a field day with this one.
DVDs, Blu-rays, and everything else are necessary for the growth and evolution of media distribution. In a world where the convenience of streaming currently thrives, having a hold on physical versions of movies and shows pave a point of consumer cognizance as well as an alternative ease of access to shows you'd otherwise have to search for on the internet, which isn't always stable depending on the connection and legality. But it does come at a price. Physical copies of anime are a substantial way to add a second mortgage to your home, but it's all the worth it to claim a bit of that show's history through showing people how little your opinion of yourself is. But if you do manage to get your hands on somewhat pricey DVDs, especially of shows you love, then there's a certain sense of pride and fun to be had with your poor financial decisions. I'm not saying that you should always do that, but if you find yourself with a little extra disposable income and want to get a DVD of your favorite series, then more power to you.
I'm just gonna say it. Happiness is what you make it to be. That's why I don't pay my medical bills. Paying it won't alleviate my pain, but as it turns out, you can put a price on happiness. And it's only $200. In a way, this is a medical tutorial if you pay attention enough.
Having a real copy of a show is just easy. You get what you paid for, there's no other fanfare with it, and you know what you're in for whenever you pop it into your means of watching. But what if you don't have the money or means to get physical, or would rather stay in the trend of throwing money into an ever-growing consumer's pit?
Well, when you're caught between two very mediocre business models, they always say, choose the one less likely to lose a monopoly war. I always wanted to be ruled over by raw fish.
The state of streaming anime has reached a point where the simple act of one or two clicks gives you instant access to high-budget productions in a matter of seconds. One of the larger benefits to the grander scale of a constant stream of streaming culture is the symbiotic relationship media and services compound onto one another. As anime grows bigger, the demand for it on platforms expand, and the expansion allows for more attention to the industry. So now we have streaming services ready to gratify those needs of instant entertainment after many years of growth as a product and in the cultural norm.
The real hobby is in choosing what to pay for.
The big ones that first come to mind are Crunchyroll and Funimation. Nowadays, the Crunchyroll-Funimation relationship is essentially that of most of British history, whereas one has conquered the other but still lets the nearly extinct one thrive in its own little commune. For now.
Topical.
Essentially, Funimation doesn't really exist as its own service except in name only. You can still visit the Funimation website and use its subscriber system, but Funimation's library and anime catalog is relegated and shared with Crunchyroll all the same. This is because they are the same.
Following the short but complex history between the two companies, Crunchyroll came out on top, where they assimilated Funimation's dead body at the end of 2022, where the last remnants of the site is but a mere facade, longing for the long days of what it once was. I've been watching a lot of Death Parade, can you tell?
This in itself isn't bad as long as there's some competition to offset the potential power Crunchyroll would have. And to be fair, there is some gaining traction. When Netflix isn't being Netflix, it's also dipped its hands in the anime trash scene for quite some time, and managed to dumpster dive some nice exclusive productions like Beastars, Kill on Tuesday, and Violet Evergarden, among a plethora of other genres and tones. Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, and Hulu are also in the market, though they essentially have no exclusives, or none at least worth a sole subscription. If you have these services for other things, they aren't the worst option to go with.
And then there's Hidive, the relative new kid on the block. Only about 5 years old as of the making of this video. Their catalog's not as impressive as Crunchyroll's, but the series that they do have are impressive, and reasonably priced too.
And that's not even mentioning the good amount of exclusives they have, both old and new, most of which are worth the subscription alone. They're not the most well-known streaming service now, but give it some time, and I believe they'll be an anime household staple.
Streaming has, for lack of a better term, taken hostage of the way we watch most things, and in a way, we ransom our time and money in order to experience the next big topic of the next big social scheme. So, it is somewhat important for you and I to know where we can watch things and which service will screw us over less. Very strange to think about when you put it that way, and I think that's a topic that can be expanded upon further on another day. But, point is, if you're gonna burn your money, make sure you do it on your own terms.
In a less intrusive, but just as expensive, if not more, option, you could always opt to go watch anime on TV,
Yeah.
like on cable.
Fuck you.
If you don't have the money for physical media, nor the patience and know-how of the streaming ways, your next bet would be to know your local listings.
You know. Like a plebe.
This is the least viable option nowadays, but back then, cable TV was the only way to catch the serials of anime for kids and adults. Inuyasha, Pokémon, Cowboy Bebop, Gundam. If you want to know what's next, you had to wait a week, and if you missed an episode, you'll be a bit lost. Unless it was Dragon Ball, where you probably just missed 20 more minutes of screaming and fighting. Services like Toonami, Disney XD, or the many extinct Saturday morning kids blocks would showcase a good handful of anime that introduced the style to children, and even outside of that demographic, it prevailed in some form or fashion. But again, with the advent of streaming, you'll be hard pressed to find non-kid shows to be running on anywhere but Toonami. Toonami in itself is limited to a few hours of one day of the week, with very select shows not for everyone, but if you like teenage angst,
Like, yeah, oh my god, all the time.
Okay, to be fair, Toonami's repertoire is not awful, nor as exclusive as I'm making it to be. If anything, their library is very much designed to attract as many people possible with safe choices all around. Sort of.
What the fuck was that?
I will give them credit. If you like shonen or something somewhat experimental, but not too far-fetched, Toonami is not a bad end-of-day session just to peer into on Saturdays.
With that said, it's probably far more convenient to go with the other two options if you can. And oddly enough, watching anime on broadcast TV has went from the norm to somewhat being a novelty. It's rare, harmless, and fun on occasion. But its legacy won't end just quite yet. And when it does end, it won't be as easily forgotten in the annals of history.
And with that, we come to our fourth option.
Yo ho ho.
In sailing the Seven Seas, you'll find that hunting treasure's a lot easier when you know your maps well, if you catch my salty drift.
That is not an innuendo.
While it's probably definitely not legal, anime piracy is certainly an option you can take depending on ease of access and work you can do to observe your shows. I find that as streaming gets bigger, so does the looting scene. From the early eons of YouTube's low-quality pixels to sites full-on dedicated to liberating waifus with the best kind of resolution, there's no stoppage of pillaging, or at least none that I can see in the near future.
This is also an instance where the pros and cons can be the same thing, depending on your stance. Free anime means free.
That's good.
But it also means the loss of revenue for the collaborators, workers, and everyone else who worked on it.
Ooh, that's bad.
It's more of a moral weighing of options rather than a financial one at that point.
Can I go now?
But like with my therapist, I'm not here to talk about morals. I'm here to talk about the pros, cons, do's, and don'ts. If you're sightseeing, look for a site you'd enjoy drowning in.
Now that is an innuendo.
Sites will either specialize in a certain series or franchise, or just act as a server for most, if not all, anime shaded from the subscription-based sun. And a quick Google search will really speed up your process. They're actually really bad at vetting this kind of stuff. Find the site you feel most comfortable with and you're good. And I don't think I need to tell you how to use a video site. Right? That said, buccaneering is a tough business, and it doesn't always last. So be prepared to island hop whenever actual anime people catch wind. But I assume that's what you'll do anyway, after all.
I'm not really here to tell you whether privateer is a good option or not. I'm just here to tell you that it is an option. Do whatever you want. But I will say it is worth it supporting the industry and its creators behind it, because in doing so, you help spark revenue that will help create more creative licenses, as well as financially help studios and producers, and probably best of all, you help make more anime and manga.
However you watch anime, it's a good idea to know your sources, as it helps you build more of a relationship with your viewing habits and the technology behind it. And as the evolution of mainstream media viewing goes, it's just as important to know where you and the industry can draw the lines in budgeting your time, money, and dedication. It's an ever-evolving system that has to make compromises to meet with its industry demands, the economics surrounding it, and arguably most importantly, the viewing audience's lives. Whether it be over a satellite dish, the World Wide Web, or through the comforts of your own disc, watching anime should be something to enjoy at your own leisure. Not overcomplicating things with wires or too many choices, but with rest, laughter, love, and an appreciation for the way our technology evolves with it.
And that is the general basis on where to watch your anime. And there's technically other ways to do so, like sitting in a crowded theater or peeping through your neighbor's windows, like some people do. But in essence, however you go about things is really up to you. And no matter what you watch, it's still gonna be garbage. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to study some medicine. You think crimes against humanity will weaken my chances to get into med school?